Alrighty. Good morning. It is 6:31. It is December 11th. Wow, doesn't time go by when you're having fun? Hope everyone's feeling well. Had a great weekend. You had a lot of good college football, a lot of good NFL action as we prepare to trade the last few weeks of this year. My name is Scott Ruther. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Got a busy week in front of us. We have the CPI tomorrow, which at this point we think we're heading in the right direction. And then really FOMC is on Wednesday. At this point, the street's already figuring that they're going to lower rates by a point. I'm sure then they're going to, throw a little bit of cold water on that to maybe, shake things up a little bit. At this point, market believes what they want to believe until the end, and then everything readjusts. So I wouldn't look too much into it, but after the size of the move that we've seen in November and into last week, you always got to be a little bit careful when you're getting in front of some binary events. But either which way, at this point, you look here at the chart of the SPYs, very choppy for 2 weeks, but ultimately held above the 8-day moving average. We've been in this active sequence literally since, November-ish, to start to November, even, coming into the end of October, and it's been pretty methodical, a lot of participation between the Mag 7, between the small caps, between the bios. So a lot to like if you use technicals and you have a process. And, yes, wasn't like they gave away money on trees. That definitely was a little misdirection and every now and then a little bit of a curveball. But ultimately, if you sell into strength and you buy a dip and you look for quality patterns and you're getting yourself prepared, there's been a lot to do. So today the SPYs are down a little bit, down about 50 cents. That's 459.71 where we are right now at 6:33 in the morning. So we'll see what happens ahead of the CPI tomorrow. This was your prior high area, so it'd make it easier, not easy, but easier if we hold this area, 459-ish, and then this is like 458.70-ish. Right, so sometimes you don't want to like give back more than half of the candle that we had on Friday because it just makes it choppier versus a lot of upward commitment. So anyway, I would think into this area. Hopefully you'll see if it's viable. Maybe it tries to go green today. Here's 460.74, which is above the high from July. And then if you go to the weekly chart, you'll see ultimately does feel as if at some point we're heading back towards 479. As long as, we keep continuing to make this bull flag, we got above 459, at some point, could be the first quarter of 2024, if not the second quarter. It all depends on how it plays out. I'm not going to get into that now, but we're pretty darn close. So hopefully, you use multiple time frames. What's multiple time frames? Well, I talked to you guys about that a lot. I put in, I give you guys, I guess I do it with the S&P, where I show you how you need to have multiple time frames for life. Not just for trading for the month or the quarter, but for life. So this way you could prepare yourself, for the future. What's the future? Older age, right? You want to retire well. What's the future? If you have a child that needs to go to college and you're not looking for a freebie, not to get into that, but you can do a lot with the market. And what's that? That means putting money away monthly into a 401k matched. If you're not working in trading and you're at a job and you're trying to make cash flow by finding good stocks and trends and sequences. But ultimately, I put this in here over the weekend so you could take a look. These are all the things I've done throughout the course of my financial life. I'm 51. Yes, when I was 30, did I have a whole life insurance policy? No, I had it at 35. When I was, 25, did I have, a blood in the street account? No. You do these things through time, and you sacrifice a little bit now for the future. But anyway, at this point, we've pretty much been in, you had this cup and handle pattern we were talking about. It's been, yes, if you go back, from last year at this time, which we were at the dead lows to now, we're up a lot. But if you go 2-3 year average, the S&P is in the same spot. So with that being said, I guess maybe next year's the year or the year after that we take out 4609 and 48. And I could see 5200 next year. Why not? So that's when, everything that you accumulate over time pays you. But again, I'm 51. If we make new all-time highs next year, it's not like I'm, taking money out of there anyway. You do that at 59 or higher. So let's go back to the micro. okay, where we can make money heading into this week. So just so you guys know, last night I was watching football, and a bunch of my friends sent me a bit of a heads up, which I don't know exactly if it's true, but going into option expiration, there's a re-weighting of NASDAQ stocks, and supposedly the Mag 7 is a little too heavily weighted, so that means they might need to reduce or have some forced selling in some of the names that I'm in some of them. So if that's the case, we saw that over the summer, there was some mechanical selling. You don't want to buy things too fast while they're trying to maybe shave off a few percentage points of their weightings of an Apple or a Microsoft or an Amazon or a Google. These are the ones, the Mag 7 Meta. So there's a chance that that you might have a little bit of like a market on open sell. So just know it's out there. Don't trade base it. If you see some weird movement in the next few sessions, there might be some funds or some indices reweighting their amount of the Mag 7 they have, and I think they have to do it before option expiration, which I think also, I got to look into this more, is the 22nd. So they have these 2 weeks to do it, but sometimes they're just lazy and they just say, hey, I got to do it now. So we could see something. Just saying. So this morning the Qs are a little bit weaker. They're down 88 cents. Not saying that's the reason why. I'm just pointing it out. So with that being said, we have a lot of good setups coming into this week, but we'll see if they shake it up a little bit. Like Amazon, to me, is a good setup. Okay, so what I did is I bought some actually 150 calls for 12 for the Friday 12/29, saying, hey, if it wants to break above this and it does it in a way that I'm not going to have enough size and I want to have my risk defined, why not just buy some 150 calls for 12/29 or go out to January 5th? But sometimes with the strong names, you don't go out into the first week of January because that's when some of the strong names get sold, because now you could sell them in 2024 and pay taxes in 2025. They don't necessarily want to sell them in December because then you're paying in April. Just a thought. Anyway, so Amazon to me is a good setup. We'll see what happens this morning. It's kind of part of the reweighting. It's only down $1, so just don't be in such a rush to buy it down $1 in case there is a sloppy little sell in the first hour. Just a heads up. The Red Dog's giving you a heads up. I need a heads up too. I'm long Amazon. I'm long some options. Apple, the same thing. I'm long some Apple. I'm long some Apple options. To me, I was thinking Apple's going to work its way back towards 198.23. Just poked its head above this 195. This morning it's down $1.12. So again, usually, it closes well. The first thing I would be doing, if we're down a little bit like we are, I'd be buying a little bit more Apple, a little bit more Amazon to go red to green. I'm just holding back a little bit and having what I have. So anyway, I like both of these, Apple and Amazon, heading into the end of the year. Meta's been a little sloppier, but it, again, had this lower range, just pop right back into it. I'm not in Meta, but I'll be watching it. As far as Tesla's been a pain in the butt, like real pain in the butt. But ultimately, if you said, hey, if you didn't watch the way Tesla traded, the past, whatever it's been, a month, and you just looked at it now, you'd say, hey, look at this. Tesla's kind of tight. Tesla, has, this channel in here. It's above 239. It held 231. Wasn't able to get above 247 yet, but maybe there's a chance. So with that being said, although it's been hard to trade and the moves have been a little tricky. Like last week was up 10 and then went almost red, and then anyway, let's just drop the way it's been trading and just look at it on the chart. It's not leading, so it's much better when it's leading, and it's not. But if it were to get above this 246, 247 with authority, what do I mean by authority? Volume. Needs a lot of volume. Maybe there's a chance that it can give you a trade this week. That's all I'm saying. So just be on the lookout. I'm trying to do less there, but I will watch it to see. Right now, Tesla's down about $1.30. I'm not in anything for Tesla. I will look. Maybe there's a chance. Also, from what I'm hearing on this whole reweighting thing, Tesla is not overly weighted there, so it doesn't have to be mechanically sold. I think that needs actually a little bit more addition, so there may be some buying from that. We'll see how that develops. But anyway, decent looking setup. Google's a little odd, not a little odd, a little odd. It looked, you had that big day. It came in, filled a little bit of that gap. The low here is what, 134.03. What's going around is that they juiced their AI whatever day and showed you not exactly what their AI does, but what it could do in the future, and people are a little upset about it. PS Google is down a little bit. It's down $1.39, 133.60. So it's below this. So it's filling this gap. Ultimately Google still hasn't done anything. It's been in the same spot it was over the summer. So there's a chance, valuation-wise, the valuation's got, it'd be nice if it held a portion of this gap and not got choppy. But anyway, I have small Google on. If it were to reclaim 134.03 and I get a low in the first 15, 30 minutes, maybe I buy it. Then you get a little candle and the hangs here. If not, we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, this is, I think, also caught in that loop that it might need to be sold a little bit. So anyway, let's go to the semis. The semis were really good to me last week. What do I mean? Well, I bought AMD when it cleared 122.83 on AI day, and it gave you a really nice move. We'll see. It's interesting to see how long it might take in order to hold around here and then take out 132.83 from the summer. But ultimately, very strong. Remember when it was, they skewed their guidance. It was down and that day exploded. That was a great trade. Well, now this kind of led the way. This just what also, as a trader, this power got me a little bit more confidence to buy a lot more ARM. Obviously different areas in the market, this and that, but ARM, which is a new issue that came public that performed decently the first when it came out right here, went through a consolidation phase. I wasn't here when it took out 56. I wasn't even watching it because I had a lot of other things going on, and that happened. And finally, I started paying attention in here, and then I bought. People who are buying here are so upset because it kept failing, and finally, after I saw what happened with AMD and NVIDIA got better, I bought on Thursday, and then I was able to add a lot on Friday. And he had a nice move. I think this can continue. For those of you who are like, Red Dog, how do I, follow you, or, blah, 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 on Umbrella Premium, it was a focus. This is the follow-up, but that was after the fact. I do it before. You could also see my positions during the course of the day. Well, where was I gotta believe I put ARM up here prior to the move. Let's see, these are all the positions. This is all the charts I do on a Friday. Prior here. There you go. I bought ARM versus 60.50. That's when it looked like that on Thursday. Figuring to buy something in the lower end of the range. So if it tries to clear 64.50, 65, I'll be engaged and add size. So that's what you got to do to connect the dots. And it worked out well. Now I'm going to be in it, and hopefully we'll see if it, could continue to, have a new active sequence. Well, what would that mean? That would mean, hey, what's ARM doing this morning? Probably down a little bit, down 16 cents. Maybe, it hangs out here. You could buy it and then takes that out, and then at some point takes out 69 in the week ahead. It might not do it today, but, hopefully use your tier system. What's a tier system? Remember I tried to show you guys that with Qualcomm. Maybe you had 1,000 shares on Thursday, went through 363, got up to 1,500, goes through 64.69, now you're at 2,000, clear 64.92, now you're at 2,500, goes to 65.5, you go from 2,500 to 2,000, goes to 67, you go down to 1,500, and then maybe you take 1,000 overnight, and you continue with 1,000, comes in a little bit, maybe you buy 500 back, clear 67.42, you get back to 1,500, goes to 68, you get back to 1,000, and meanwhile you held 1,000 from 63 to 68, and you created cash flow around your pivot points. Tier system. Anyway, so that was nice. It was nice. Okay, now we see what happens. I'm also in a little NVIDIA. There was a Wall Street Journal article about competition, so I think it's down a little bit. It's not down a whole lot. This has overall been in the channel since the whole summer. It's every day everyone talks about NVIDIA, and meanwhile it really hasn't traded great. You had the Red Dog reversal at the bottom of the range, got sold at the top. On their earnings, came in a bunch. Gave you. I remember buying on this day and then sold some, and then that happened. And I would think if this is going to be any good, it should hold this 466 to to 468 area. You know, if we were to go green today, that would be fun, right? Buy a little bit, let it go green, but we'll see. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So anyway, that's that. As far as the small caps, what a nice active sequence. You know, the huge gap up. This was the CPI from November 14th, and then it got choppy. Then took out this, took out 181, hit 187.92. Nice little red dog reversal Thursday. Gave you a push on Friday, and it's been continuing. I had a few different option plays. The last one that I have is maxed out. You know, usually the small caps like to move on CPI day, but we'll see how that goes. So just be careful. I don't know. I might take 189 options or something. It depends what happens today. Maybe I take some more options or I just let it happen. Bottom line is you've had a nice active sequence, but overall there still could be a lot of room going to next year. You know, this channel, you know, it's really 2 years old, and all it did is go from the bottom end again. Has a little bit left of this quadrant after failing up here over the summer, and that was before rates peaked. So I wouldn't get away from the small caps. Just use your tier size and don't get too caught up. I think there's, you know, still that setup. I know it didn't work yet with Path. Path had really good earnings, triple digit actually, went up to 25.47. Wasn't ready to go right away. Held the 8-day, held this post earnings gap. I would keep this on the radar for the week. I have some $26 calls for Friday. I'm long some stocks, so this way I could watch it, kind of like what, you know, keeping engaged. So if it does try and get above this area, I could see it, I could buy it, I could use my tier system. But you know, again, just something I'm looking at. What else? I'm not looking. Yeah, what somebody said, can I show you Qualcomm? Yeah, Qualcomm. It's been moving, but it's so choppy. Bitcoin, wow. A lot of people made a lot of money in Bitcoin this year. Congratulations to you. This is something that I've said in the last 2 years. You could accumulate every single month, like gold, if you're an asset allocator. If you are, congratulations. You know, now you had a little bit of a pullback. By the way, last night I saw this happen. I was like, whoa. They shook the tree a little bit up here, you know, but again, it's had such a big move. So now probably goes loose and wide for a little bit, meaning it's going to take some time to maneuver or prove it could hold above this. Ultimately, though, it was you know, big trades above the 8-day moving average. Doesn't matter what sector you're looking at. You know, it's strong. There's momentum, and crypto, if it's above those things, usually it moves like it's on steroids. You know, so from this 28 to 45 yesterday, it broke this upper area. They stole some Bitcoins, probably a few guys held the 21-day. I would just let it sit. You know, it's had a big move end of the year. Just again, the bulky, you know, money probably has been made, and now it's just back and forth. Same thing with coin. Like coin, what a move. You know, coin, we were talking about this. Guys were making, you know, guys from the Alpha team were begging me to be in this thing. At like when we went over it, I've listed the chart at 88 and 100. And meanwhile, up here, it's still holding the 8-day. If you ever have like free time over the weekend and you want to Google Scott Rudler 8-day, 21-day moving average, you know, evergreen, whatever they are, presentations. I've done like 5 of them showing you how, you know, you could drown out all the noise. All you need to know is if something's above the 21-day, typically it's strong. You could have some kind of swing active long there. When it's below it, you know, you're just a little bit more careful. And if it stays below it, get away from it. It's not acting special. It doesn't deserve your attention. But this has been above the 8-day for a while. You can even do the 8 and 21-day. Anyway, probably down a little bit, you would think, with the way Bitcoin went last night. It's yeah, down 5. Okay, 140.85. So see if it you know, holds the 8-day again. But again, big move. You don't want to look for the juice. The juice is slippery usually. Somebody asked me to do snow. That's a nice chart. You know, above the 8-day, big gap here, held the gap. 192.66. That's a spot. Nice bull flag. Yeah, I think snow could be something on your radar this week. And then if you look at the weekly chart looks like, you know, it's just clearing this area, and, you know, broke down from 324, if you remember. That was when, look at that, below the 8-day the whole time. 324 all the way down to 100. You could have stayed out of the way. So now it's gone sideways for a while. So this looks set up. It's something to put on the radar. All right, guys, listen. We'll see how it goes. Going back to the SPYs. SPYs made a new weekly high, actually a new monthly high. For today, it's a little bit weaker ahead of the CPI tomorrow and then the Fed on Wednesday. Remember what I talked to you guys about the Mag 7. There might be some erratic trading if they have to do a reweighting where those are too weighted in some of the indices and they have to reduce. That might create a little bit of sloppy selling, so you don't want to get caught buying too much if you're trying to hold a swing position. Just let it settle. And if there's something that they break and you can't hold it because you have too much size, you could always get out of some and get back in some. Anyway, so I would think this area would be nice to hold. What would this be? This is 458.90. Hold 458.90. Make it easier for active guys to stay actively long. Breaks that. Not the end of the world, but it definitely gets a little choppier. And then here you go with the Qs. You know, Qs did not lead. That's one thing to look at also. Not that it really matters that much because the market broadened out, but last time the NASDAQ went to highs, it led every other sector. Like I just showed you, the SPYs made a new little small high last week, and the NASDAQ didn't. So the NASDAQ is still consolidating. Didn't quite lead as the market broadened out, but overall it's probably even healthier. All right, guys, 6:52. I'm 2 minutes over. Management says they can only do the 6:30 club for 20 minutes. So if you want more, you know what? Look for one of our deals. There are a lot of good deals out there for next year. Usually during the month of December, they give you a lot off, and they combine a lot of things for the Alpha Team, Brother All Access, Power Plays. If not, just tune in here, and I appreciate you. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to hang out with you. I appreciate my dogs around the world on Twitter. You know, having friends in, you know, all countries everywhere, like-minded, you know, process-orientated. Orientated, that might be a word. Just makes it more fun. Listen, who would I post my crazy steamy videos to? Where I come out of the sauna after a half an hour sweating out 3 or 4 pounds, where it's 30 degrees and I go in an ice barrel and my toes start freezing off. It's only so many times Cadence could watch that, and she doesn't really understand. She just wants to lick my calves. Anyway, have a good week. Let's try and connect some dots, get in a good mood. It's holiday time. Have some fun. Spend time with your friends, your family. Do what you got to do to make yourself happy. Now let's try and make some money. Later, guys.